Chapter 60. Mo Xie is evil. Lin Feng had left the mountains where he had just finally removed a thorn from his side. He saw some silhouettes on the horizon running at full speed, which created a dust storm behind them. "Hey, what's going on?" asked a disciple who didn't understand what was going. "You still don't know? There are too many ferocious beasts in the Black Wind Mountain. It looks like oceans of ferocious beasts have emerged. A countless number of ferocious beasts have gone into a frenzy. All the Yunhai sect disciples are going there now to stop the disturbance." "A flood of ferocious beasts?" replied the other one, looking really excited. They immediately headed towards the crowd at great speed, while heading towards the Black Wind Mountain. The history of the Yunhai sect dated back 1,000 years, but the history of the Black Wind Mountain was even older than that. These floods of ferocious beasts weren't a rare thing, but for the great majority of them, they were weaker beasts. Many disciples were heading there for treasures and for battle experience. This was something which did not occur frequently and could not be missed. A few hundred years before, there was a flood of strong ferocious beasts. The Yunhai sect was almost destroyed by this flood. Ordinary ferocious beasts and Ling-level ferocious beasts were not a problem. They were ordinary and easy to kill, but during the apocalyptic flood from the past, there was a gigantic quantity of Zon-level ferocious beasts which were extremely strong compared to cultivators at the same level. They were incredibly hard to kill, which made them extremely dangerous. They made earthquakes with their movements and killed a multitude of people. The sect was almost completely destroyed. There were also rumors. At that time, the leader of the ferocious beasts was a mutant beast which could change its shape, a celestial ferocious beast. Because it had happened such a long time before, the information that people knew about it was limited. However, everybody knew that these floods of ferocious beasts were very dangerous, but that they were also a great opportunity. Cultivators would give their best efforts to obtain as many precious items as they could. Fighting against ferocious beasts would quickly increase the battle experience of the disciples. I wouldn't have thought that the Yunhai sect disciples would go there before the elite disciple exam, Lin Feng thought. He then started walking and decided to head straight to the Black Wind Mountain. Lin Feng didn't walk for a very long time. Lu Fei also came out of the mountains and was also heading to the Black Wind Mountain. On the highest mountain of the Yunhai sect were sitting a group of mysterious people looking down at the surroundings. They were watching Ling Hu Hishan, the top-ranked core disciple of the Yunhai sect. How strong! It looks like this time the number of ferocious beasts is quite large. Ling Hu is extremely strong as expected. He looks like one of the 8 high officials of the country, people thought while looking at Ling Hu Hishan's silhouette. They all knew that the high official, Chu Zanpeng, had come to the Yunhai sect. They had seen how arrogant he was. It had moved Ling Hu Hishan's heart a great deal, and he had now placed orders to control who came in and out of the Yunhai sect. The Black Wind Mountain looked like an apocalyptic battlefield. Sect elders and disciples were moving together towards the Black Wind Mountain. The entrance of the Black Wind Mountain was surrounded by the strongest cultivators within the sect. The ferocious beasts were roaring loudly at the base of mountain. There were also many disciples killing ferocious beasts on the outskirts. It was a real bloodbath. At that moment, Elder Mo Xie was standing on a huge monolith. His long sleeves were fluttering in the air. "Elder Mo Xie, these disciples are quite strong. It looks like the ordinary disciples are all capable of advancing really quickly within the sect," said an ordinary elder standing next to Mo Xie. "This is actually so easy for us to handle. There is no danger that we fear on this mountain. This is just a warm-up before the elite disciple exam. It's quite fun actually." Mo Xie laughed when saying this. He sounded like there was absolutely no ferocious beast flood where disciples were fighting to the death. Elder Mo Xie, Elder Mo Xie. At that moment, more and more people were gathering. They all came to Mo Xie and were bowing in front of him. They were extremely polite. At that moment, a silhouette passed by Mo Xie at full speed towards a ferocious beast. Mo Xie looked pale as if he had seen a ghost. There was a loud thunderous roar, and suddenly a level 8 ferocious beast died on the spot. The thunderous roars came from Lin Feng's sword. They were making the entire atmosphere vibrate heavily. He threw himself at wild enraged rhinoceros and smashed its head, then the beast collapsed and died. Lin Feng used his sword to remove the precious core and other valuable items while placing them in his bag. These precious items were extremely expensive and valuable for him. He would be able to exchange them within the sect for useful tools which would increase his strength and increase his cultivation. Mo Xie, who was still standing still on the huge monolith, couldn't help but feel like he had a weight placed on his heart when he saw Lin Feng. That was precisely that disciple who had made him lose face in the presence of many other people. He had really humiliated him in front of everyone. He would have never thought that Lin Feng could improve his sword skills to such an extent in such a short amount of time. "You have become quicker and stronger, but you, an ordinary disciple, dared to humiliate me. You should just die," thought Mo Xie full of hatred. He hadn't forgotten that day. The memory of those events was still fresh in his mind. "Stop," shouted Mo Xie while looking at Lin Feng. He sounded like a madman and his shout was filled with anger. He had shouted so loud that it surprised Lin Feng. He stopped what he was doing, turned around and saw Mo Xie. "Elder, what's wrong?" asked Lin Feng. "Bastard, stop killing all the ferocious beasts. You're doing this only so that the others don't get the precious items, you selfish bastard. Good thing that I'm here to pay attention and think about your fellow disciples of the Yun Hai sect. Mo Xie was still shouting with anger. There was someone standing next to Lin Feng. He was an elder who followed Mo Xie. He was sent there by Mo Xie as he could easily kill Lin Feng with a flick of his wrist. Elder, I don't see what precious items you are talking about, said Lin Feng while smiling coldly. Last time, Mo Xie had put Lin Feng in an almost fatal position. It was a death trap. He wanted to hand Lin Feng over to Chu Zanpeng. Lin Feng wouldn't have thought that Mo Xie would still hate him though. Lin Feng had never directly offended him. Mo Xie had been wrong to try and frame Lin Feng. He thought this elder had already learned his lesson. Bastard, how dare you talk to an elder that way? Shouted the elder standing next to Lin Feng. He sounded furious. You are listening to Peerless Martial God audio on light novel Aloud. That elder wasn't weak and had relied on Mo Xie to become an elder. Of course, he wasn't going to miss an opportunity to show in front of his benefactor. I'm saying that you stole the precious items, do I need to repeat it once again? Said Mo Xie smiling coldly. Lin Feng wasn't doing it on purpose. It was easy to misunderstand though. Mo Xie was once again accusing Lin Feng of made-up crimes and then everybody would attempt to kill Lin Feng on the spot. If Lin Feng died, who would say anything? He was just an ordinary disciple. 2 elders were there as witnesses. 2 elders in charge of enforcing the rules within the sect. There would be nothing strange if they killed Lin Feng. Little boy, be very careful, will you dare humiliate an elder? Said Mo Xie. He was laughing on the inside. In his head, Lin Feng was already dead. You really are a shameless elder. Lin Feng cursed loudly. He had first accused Lin Feng of stealing items from the others and then started adding other crimes to the list. Mo Xie was in charge of enforcing the rules in the sect. How could he abuse his power like this? Even if some others didn't agree, they would protect Lin Feng if he was having issues with an elder, and Mo Xie was trying to create a conflict between Lin Feng and the other elder. Lin Feng had no way to defend himself. If an elder said he had committed a crime, then he had committed a crime. Mo Xie, I know you want to kill me. You don't need to invent false crimes to accuse me. Just admit it honestly, like someone with a backbone. Lin Feng looked at Mo Xie and smiled coldly. He sounded extremely self-confident and arrogant. Mo Xie frowned. Lin Feng dared be that impertinent? Mo Xie, I am just an ordinary disciple. You are an elder, what are you afraid of? If you want to kill me, then go ahead and try to kill me. I am right here waiting for you. Lin Feng saw that Mo Xie was frowning and continued to talk. He didn't restrain himself at all. He didn't care about Mo Xie and continued to humiliate him. No wonder, Mo Xie remembered that day. He had been extremely scared of the shadow which took hold of him when he attempted to attack Lin Feng. Indeed, that shadow had protected Lin Feng during those events. How could Mo Xie be sure that the shadow wouldn't protect Lin Feng again? Was Lin Feng was not acting this way to make him attack so the shadow would act? He remembered that frightening shadow as it completely dominated his body. Mo Xie couldn't help being terrified at the thought. He was clearly trembling in fear. He looked at Lin Feng with an evil look. Lin Feng looked back while remaining insolent and not scared at all. He Chong, let's go, help me capture him, said Mo Xie to He Chong, who was standing near Lin Feng. He didn't say, kill only, capture. Alright, replied He Chong, asshole, Lin Feng said while glancing at He Chong. The insult had spontaneously burst forth from his mouth. It was completely unexpected by the people watching from the sidelines. What did you say? Said He Chong, growing extremely furious. An ordinary disciple had suddenly dared insult him in front of the entire crowd. That was ridiculous, absurd, impossible. That was truly outrageous. Mo Xie doesn't dare to touch me and wants you to attack me, haven't you thought of the consequences? Lin Feng was smiling coldly while looking at He Kond and then added, I'm not just insulting you though. The same also applies Mo Xie. He abuses his power as an elder. When you look at Mo Xie trembling in fear, are you sure that you still feel like attacking me? Mo Xie doesn't dare attack me. He wants you to do it, you're a scapegoat and you're even excited to obey his orders. Even if I say you are an asshole, am I wrong with what I say? Lin Feng's tone was cold but calm. It made He Chong furious. He didn't hesitate and immediately started moving towards Lin Feng. He secretly glanced at Mo Xie and saw Mo Xie was extremely furious as well, but as before, he was not moving towards Lin Feng at all. It was incredibly strange. Mo Xie is extremely strong and influential. Does he want me to act as a scapegoat? He Chong thought. He thought about the conversation Mo Xie and Lin Feng had had. The more he thought about it, the more he thought Lin Feng could be right. Besides, Mo Xie's father was standing behind them, so if something happened then Mo Xie would be helped by his father. However, if something happened to He Chong, who would protect him? At that moment, a large group of Yun Hai sect disciples were surrounding them and had seen everything. They couldn't help but be stupefied. An ordinary disciple had only said a few words and had terrified 2 elders of the Yun Hai sect. End of chapter 60. Hope you guys enjoy the chapter. Please consider subscribing and hit that bell button for future updates.